Oh, Mary, Mary, quite contrary. So, Mary, in a post and delete on Instagram, she posted this little photo right here of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City screen time of episode 13. So, as you guys can see, whoever has done this little chart has broken down, each character by how many minutes they had shown on the screen, and also included some previews and flashbacks of how many were in the episode. And so I'm assuming she's meaning to point out that she only got what 3%, which means about 2 minutes or so of screen time in episode 13. And then she says, do you see what I see? Happy holidays, seek truth. Now, in my mind, I'm wondering, is she insinuating that there is some reason that she is not getting a lot of screen time, or that she just isn't getting a lot of screen time? I think what would have been even more effective if if you're gonna go big, go big. You need to get me episodes 1 through 13 and then show me every single episode breakdown. And I think that would help her make her point a little bit better. And then you need to leave it on your page. Okay. Don't just say it and then take it down unless somebody told you to take it down, in which case that begs some more questions. But you know what? We got a lot to discuss, and we're going to go ahead and have a good old Ponderosa about all of this and more with our friend Adam from Up and Adam. Adam, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
What do you make of this information that Mary has posted and deleted? I hate a post and delete. I just want to let you know that.
I think that it's time and place is everything. And I feel like for this episode, especially in, Mary's situation, with what was aired, her comments, you don't want a lot of screen time this episode. Why are you complaining about this?
But you know what's funny? This was last week's episode.
Oh my gosh.
That's what she was talking about. It was like last week's episode. And to be honest with you, I mean, there wasn't a lot going on with her last week's episode. Certain other characters, I didn't think it was anything wrong with last week's episode. I mean, I feel like sometimes storyline dictates how much a person has, and clearly, they know, the producers know people love Heather Gay. For whatever reason, Heather Gay seems to be a fan favorite, a producer's favorite, a network favorite. So I'm not shocked that she gets a lot of screen time. And she has a very meaty story for which she's opening up her life about. And I do appreciate that. The other person that had a lot last week was Jen. So, and clearly we know why that is. But I just thought it was interesting. It was more interesting to me, not only that she posted it, but that she deleted it.
No, well, especially, for Heather, I understand why she's a fan favorite. Even at one point, Jen Shaw was a fan favorite before like the fraud allegations, because she popped off and she gave us something to watch for. For Heather, she's giving us a lot of, different dynamics within her family of real things that are going on, while also treating everyone else with kindness. For Mary, part of the reason that I feel like she might not be as included in the episodes is because every time she gets around the women, she doesn't want to engage. She doesn't really want to be there. I feel like, and this could personally be me, I don't know, but I feel like Mary holds herself to a different regard. And she's like, I'm here. I don't even know why I'm messing with you little girls. And obviously that's going to take away from your screen time. If you're not going and participating on the slopes or showing up for a party, you don't want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do agree with you. I feel like there's something to be said for you have to play ball. Like, there's no getting around it. I mean, you know this from your experience, kind of working in the industry as well. When you do these types of shows, it is a very taxing experience because you actually have to give a lot of yourself in order to make the show great. And I oftentimes don't always feel like Mary feels like giving of herself on those days where she's filming.
Right. No, and I do want to kind of say this. I'm not going to say her name, but there's a really close friend of mine who's on Vanderpump Rules. And I remember one night where I was in the restaurant and I was talking to Lisa, and she came up crying. And it was the day that the trailer came out. And she said, Lisa, I was only in like 5 seconds of that trailer. I wasn't even really featured. And she's like, oh, don't cry. Like, you're in the season. Don't worry. And she's like, but why was I edited out? I filmed all season. And she was super upset about it. And it makes me think, Well, yeah, this is all of these different reality shows on Bravo. They're ensemble casts. So they're all probably in their own indirect way fighting for the screen time and wanting to be the front runner. Maybe.
So, I mean, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. One of the things that we're going to get this out of the way right now because I feel like it needs to be talked about, and you and I kind of just touched on it briefly. Last night Mary had another very cringeworthy moment where she told her co-star Jennie Nguyen that she liked her eyes.
That would have been a better way to put it.
Well, here's my thing. I want to say it because I feel like people are going to have questions and they're not going to know. I don't want to say it because I don't want to repeat it because of what I know that it means to Jennie. And I just don't want to be, I don't want to use what she said. I just don't want to repeat it. Does that make sense?
No, I mean, honestly, it's the same thing as like the thug comment and then referring to Mexico. It's because you're talking about not only an entire country, but you're referring to a community. This is a whole ethnicity. It doesn't matter like if you're Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Thai, you're referring to a big part of our world that finds this comment extremely offensive. And I don't want to repeat it either. My big question is last night I was, watching Twitter. And if you guys ever want to go down a rabbit hole and like just hate your life, go on Twitter or social media because that's what it does to you. But when I was watching, people were like, well, Mary doesn't think that that's a bad comment. And I'm thinking, you guys make it so easy to get on this Mary bash train because I feel like I have to defend this. You are a grown ASS woman. I know this. I asked my little cousin last night when watching this because they're visiting in town for the holidays. I said, do you know this is wrong? My cousin's 9 years old. And she said, oh my gosh, I would never. And she calls me Uncle Adam. She's like, I would never Uncle Adam. And I was like, okay, if she knows this, how do you not know how incredibly offensive this comment could be? And this is your third slip up in one season in the last 3 episodes?
Yeah. And I think what people were saying, and I've seen the same comments too about how she wasn't, she was trying to compliment her, but in complimenting her, she actually made a major social faux pas in terms of where we are right now in the world. It's just certain things you just have to have couth about what you say. And Mary has none of it. And so while sometimes it may be amusing, other times it just goes too far to the left. It's inappropriate and it's offensive to a large group of people. I was offended, okay? And that's not the end of that statement. But there were other people who were offended by this comment as well, which I told you I wanted to bring up. When Heather told Jennie that she looked like an anime character. So my statement is this. Now, I wouldn't have even, again, this is not something I actually wanted to say, but it was something that a lot of people seemed to miss because it wasn't just Mary last night. Now, Mary's was overtly offensive. Heather's was a little bit more subtly offensive. This also rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, and I completely understand where you're coming from. Listen, one is not more right than the other. I think they're both wrong, especially if you don't come from that background. I think, especially I lived in Thailand for 5 months, right? I had a friend who was amazing, and she's super celebrated over there. She's like the Angelina Jolie.
You need a personal vlog channel. You tell us all these stories about where you've been.
I mean, listen, I'm on the go, man. I'm on the go. But, I personally know that over in Asia, anywhere you go, anime is very celebrated and it's a big part of the culture. So I'm wondering if, and I'm not giving her the benefit of the doubt, but I'm wondering if Heather knew that anime was so celebrated and she thought this was maybe a compliment as opposed to, I can't come up with any, is it still wrong? Yes. But I can't come up with any reason why Mary would think that what she said would be in her mind something like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's my compliment to you because I can't even say it either. Like, I feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they both thought they were complimenting her. I do. I think that Mary reminds me of a specific type of person, and it's so funny to me. And I feel like I've encountered this person in church quite a bit, and it's a very old time type of thinking that has not caught up to where we are as a society today.
Right.
Heather, I don't think she meant to be offensive, but she was.
No, exactly. And I think that's what it is too. I'm even reading the live chat where people are saying, Adam, you give Heather the benefit of the doubt, but not the same smoke as you give to Mary. That's not true. I genuinely think that both comments were wrong. And me personally, I'm very self-aware in social settings where I wouldn't say either one of these comments. If I want to compliment Jenny, I would tell her, you're beautiful. You're stunning, in this photo and in person. Look how great you look. I wouldn't go this route where I'm trying to figure out something from your culture in order to use as a compliment, but really not well versed on any of it. And for Heather and Mary, again, I think I have to just draw the line in the sand of saying they're both wrong. I don't know which one's worse, but I really think that Heather thought she was giving a compliment, whereas I'm trying to understand where Mary was coming from. I don't know if that was a compliment.
Well, I say it felt like she was reaching for a compliment to me because she said, I like them. Right. And so even in the situation where she's talking next week, she says, and Jenny tells her it's offensive, and she's still very much clueless as to why it's wrong. What I would love to see on the reunion is I would love to see both of these comments addressed. I would love to hear Jenny speak about why she found it offensive. And I would like for them to both learn from these instances, because I think it is a good opportunity, unlike what we saw with New York, where there was no resolution. There was no, hey, let's all have a sit down conversation about this and why it's wrong, and use it as a teachable moment. And I feel like if they can do that, then that can be something that really becomes an epic moment for the show.
And to be fair too, I was seeing a lot of comments last night where people were like, fire Mary. And, I feel like Mary should not be fired for some of the things that she's saying. She should be held accountable, and she should be able to try to defend what she's saying. You said it. You thought it was appropriate to say. Now explain to us why you thought that was appropriate. And if not, if you realize why it wasn't appropriate, then own it for the whole audience to see, that you were wrong. And if she can do that, I don't think we should be so quick to be like, fire Mary, get her off the show. I think that's extreme. I think that we should, like you said, let's wait till we get to the reunion, give you the floor, tell you everything that you said, not just Mary, but all of the women, because I'm reading in the chat, and I must have missed this yesterday or last night, but someone said that Heather told Jen that she had boombox braids. I didn't hear that.
I missed that as well. So it's funny. There's a lot that happens, I think, on these shows where people, make flippant comments and they don't realize the effect of them. And that's why I also think, having a conversation about them in real talk and holding everyone accountable, I feel like that creates a more equal, neutral playing field, but also allow the person who it was said about to actually say, hey, this offended me, and this is why we shouldn't say that. Okay. I think if we can get to that place, I think that will show the audience, hey, this is how you move on, and this is how we're going to move on, and we'll be much better for it. So I wanted to get this discussion out of the way first, because I know a lot of people feel a lot of different types of ways about it, and we needed to have the conversation, because if we don't, I mean, we're missing a whole big chunk of what was in the episode last night. But I do want to get us back on track with talking about the episode, because I do think we need to discuss that. Helen says, I just think she don't know when she does it. I'm 53 and learning from the younger generation. And so that's what we're hoping for, Helen, is that as people watch these shows and people make mistakes, that hopefully we can course correct, make apologies, and then understand why I was wrong. That's really all we can do, you know? That was a lot.
That was a lot.
Adam, the first scene that we start off with is Meredith, Meredith, Jennie, and Lisa having a little girls' night. What I found interesting to me was I feel like on this show, we get a lot of chaos and confusion, but we don't really get a lot of these fun little vignette types of moments. What did you think about this scene?
I mean, actually, I want to hear your opinion first.
You know, I thought it was interesting. It seemed like someone said, hey, guys, Jennie is still here with a storyline that needs to play out and needs some resolution. So can you guys ask her about it so we can get back on topic with Jennie? Because there's been so much else going on that this whole sister wife thing kind of got lost in the shuffle. I also felt like it was nice to see little friend groups getting together and having fun, because I think it's quintessential Housewives, but that's just me.
Right. I thought it was a lighter moment on the episode where it's kind of like, okay, we're playing dress up, but really there is still a serious issue. My husband just asked me if he could get a sister wife, but also more so, I feel like Jennie Nguyen came into a season where she wasn't going to win no matter what. I didn't mean to do that on purpose, by the way. She wasn't going to win no matter what, because you're coming in on the heels of cult allegations, an indictment, SWAT team in a helicopter, Homeland Security, NYPD. Like, how do you fit in to this group and introduce yourself and get your storyline across? You know, I always kind of compare Jennie to Sutton Stracke season 1, her first season. Not season 1 of Beverly Hills, but her first season, I feel like she was very overshadowed. And then we got her the second season and she really showed up and showed out. I'm hoping Crystal does the same thing this next season. But for Jennie, I think that this was a hard season to try to fit in. And I'm hoping, I guess, that we give her a second season and see, you know, like, can she make it in? You know, am I that invested in the sister wife conversation? No, I'm more invested in like her dynamic with her daughter, which is strange.
Yeah, the daughter outshines her in every scene. Just me.
Yeah. What is the daughter's name again?
I think it's Karen.
No, it's not Karen.
I thought somebody wrote that yesterday or something like that.
It's Carla. Yes.
Is that
Carlin. It's Carla or Carla. Yes. Oh, I was like, wait a minute. No, it's not Karen.
I knew it was a C or a K name. Okay, anyway. Oh, we got a super chat. Vania K says, love your show so much, Richie. It's my first time catching you live in a while because I got some real bad news on Thanksgiving and it's been hard, but I definitely watch your vids and get my laugh on. Oh. Well, welcome back, Vania. Hopefully, you know, Adam and I can continue to brighten your day with our review. Oh, I think it's Carlin.
Yes, Carlin.
Okay, so it's a mix. We next get a scene of Jen Shah, who is now driving herself around. She don't have Stu to drive her no more. So she's driving to meet up with Lisa, and she calls Heather because she, you know, Heather's her ride or die. And she goes into the meeting with Lisa, and they have an interesting, very interesting conversation about why it was that Lisa needed time to process before she responded to Jen Shah when Jen Shah called and texted her from her new number. Jen feels like Lisa should have been picking up the phone, and Lisa's like, no, girl, last time I talked to you, you cursed me out with my kids in the car. Thoughts on this scene?
I was conflicted. You know, Jason and I watched this together last night, and when he was very team Lisa, and I was kind of team Jen in this situation. And I thought that was interesting because he said, which is a great point, he's like, you know, she just treated you like crap, and then she gets indicted, and you don't know how that's going to kind of shadow over your business and your livelihood and what you're doing, because now you're a part of this ensemble cast of a TV show. So you're automatically associated with this, which I had a great conversation with Kate Casey from Reality Life with Kate Casey on her podcast about how she feels bad about any of the housewives from Beverly Hills or Salt Lake City who have to, on the daily, answer for Erica Girardi's situation or Jen Shah's. So I get that, but also from the same, with the same respect, I look at Jen Shah and I'm like, wait a minute, she was indicted. She's claiming, you're saying this is your friend. She's claiming she's innocent. From what we know from the headlines in that very moment, she's facing up to 50 years in prison, being taken away from her whole family, still claiming she's innocent. Guns were going into her house, removing her son and her nephew, and you care about a silly back and forth? Like, that's out the window. But maybe I'm very Jen Shah in that way, where I would just think, hold on, we'll address this in a second, but this situation takes precedence. I might not see you for 50 years because I might be going to prison. Whereas Lisa is like, sorry, girl, you did that to yourself, but I'm still mad at you.
Now that you put it like that, I'm team Lisa on this one, because you cannot curse me out. I don't care what. Listen, what you got going on is separate. You just cursed me out with my kids in the car. Okay? You cursed me out with my kids in the car. And now you expect me to pick up the phone from your new phone number. I barely even know who this is. You expect me to pick up the phone when you call me and because you crying because you got some personal drama. Now, granted, that personal drama is major headline making, but at the end of the day, I feel like I understood where Lisa was coming from, because also like, girl, my feelings be hurt too. And you have been running around with a proverbial emotional Uzi, lashing out at people whenever you feel like somebody has done any little slight thing wrong to you, and it's a pattern. And now that you find yourself in deep trouble, you expect me to be there to help you pick up the pieces after you curse me out? No, you can't keep doing that to the rest of us.
See, and that's one of those classic situations of like, if I could go back, then I would take that back because this is more important. However, Lisa seems, I believe this too. I feel like she's the type of woman who is not in a lot of altercations. She's not used to it. She's not used to somebody verbally ripping her a new one, especially in front of her family. And that would make her uncomfortable and feel some kind of way. So she's going to sit on that. But also, I think that she's very business savvy. And part of her does not want to be associated with whatever is coming Jen's way. And that might be rightfully so. This is an interesting dynamic. Do I applaud Heather for being so quick to jump, to Jen's side and be like, listen, I'm here for you. I want to hear from you. What's going on? I will be a friend. And if you're guilty, we'll figure it out. And I'll be there for your kids and your husband. If you're not, then I'll be here to celebrate you. Yeah, I really applaud Heather for that. And I think that's probably why Heather is one of the fan favorites. But if I was personally in the situation, I might have been a little bit more of a Lisa Barlow. Like, if you're associated with fraud, indictment charges, Homeland Security, NYPD, SWAT, I don't know if I want to be around you.
I mean, that's just real, though. That is so real. Like, again, I agree with you. Heather being Team Jen, they have had a friendship. Clearly, they have had moments where they have probably felt a lot like sisters to a certain degree, even so much so where they kind of get jealous where one of the other may give someone else a little bit too much attention. But there's still a part of Jen that still needs that validation from Lisa. And Lisa's kind of like, listen, you burned this bridge a lot. And now you're in this mess, and I have businesses and lawyers and everybody on speed dial. Like, I don't know if I could be dealing with this. So I don't think it's bad that she took a little bit of time to think before she responded to her, because I felt like that was real too, And also 4 days isn't. It wasn't 4 weeks.
I mean, listen, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. I don't want to just like completely.
And that's fine. We do that on this channel. I love that. Please don't stop. I mean, because we've got to be able to try to look at situations from both sides.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I don't want to diminish how Jen's feeling, but for, Lisa, who said I had to take a couple days and kind of process my thoughts, and this was all coming out. I hate to say it. Like, if my friend was just arrested for an unfortunate, like, accident where, God forbid, somebody else lost their life and, they were sober, the other person was sober, and now they might be looking at time because they maybe were texting or something, I would be like, man, you effed up. And I would try to be there for them and try to understand the situation. But when you add into the conversation, hundreds of victims, elderly, millions of dollars that were allegedly stolen, it's a different conversation. Like, to each their own. Every conversation has different elements. And this is like, what did they say on Shrek? An onion? This isn't an onion. This is the whole damn field. This is a lot happening. And there's a lot of layers that we have to peel back. And just because you're saying you're innocent, I was very Mary Cosby in this episode where she was like, but really though? Really though? You didn't know nothing?
I loved that moment.
Yeah.
I love that. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yes.
I want to stay on Jen real quick because we want to talk about religion and stuff like that. We get a scene where, I believe they're praying at Jen's house with her family. And, Coach Shaw really gently tells her, girl, we're going to need to get out of this rental home, okay? Because it's too much money and we need money for your all of the lawyer's fees, and this is going to be about $2 million. We learned that Jen, as she sits there and tells us in her witness protection wig, that she was employing her family to the tune of $50,000 per month. Okay, so she's really kind of despondent about this idea of we have to downsize, and these people were depending on us. What did you think of this scene?
Well, one, I love when we see the different housewives, like the fact that they were showcasing a different religion and celebrating Ramadan. I love seeing this because I think that it's important that we see. And, to be honest with you, when we first found out that we were getting Salt Lake City, one of the biggest, the most exciting topics was like the religion, right? So I liked seeing that we get this religion aspect. And it was interesting for me to see Jen Shah praying behind the guys. And I forgot because I'm not Muslim. And I didn't realize, there are certain things that you do. So that part to me was interesting. Now, the sit down with Coach Shaw, I couldn't even imagine what's going through his mind, what's going through her mind. And when he's like, we need to downsize, her first thing should be, I understand you're used to showcasing this lavish lifestyle, but girl, you can't afford this lavish lifestyle. It's very obvious. Most people, and this is not a bad thing towards you, Jen, most people cannot afford $40,000 to $50,000 a month in glam, and then having $50,000 worth of your family on your payroll to make sure that your family is okay, plus your own household stuff. You're talking about $100,000+ a month. So I feel like her ego is still in this, and she's not realizing the full effect of, or the ramifications of what she got herself into. And for Coach Shaw, I applaud the fact that he's like, wake up. It's time to wake up. This is not a game anymore. You are going to prison. I don't know. It's a lot.
No, it was a fascinating scene to me. And just the way he tried to so gently tell her, like, this isn't working for us anymore. We have to do something different. I would like to see a little bit more of what their discussions are like. And I was kind of sad we didn't get more of that in this episodes.
No, I think that, real quick, and I want to pick your brain about this too.
Sure.
I think we all feel that. And I think that we all want more Jen Shaw, Coach Shaw moments. There's a lot of heat on Coach Shaw right now that hasn't been like really let out of the furnace because he doesn't react on social media like Erica does. Erica is like, oh, you guys all hate on me. Here's the lingerie photo. And then it's boom, headlines. You know, like she's so insensitive. And for Coach Shaw, we're like, why are we not wondering you were spending money you didn't know? But he doesn't give us the same reaction, so we don't ask the questions. But watching it back, now I lost my train of thought. Damn it. It was good. It was good.
Well, I think it is like you said. I mean, Coach Shaw just comes across, very humble in terms of how he speaks to his wife. You don't necessarily see him making a lot of huge, bold statements on social media. And to be quite honest with you, I think Jen has probably done a little bit of a favor for herself in terms of maybe stepping back just a lot actually on her social media and really kind of sort of changing the social media narrative around what she is all about right now, because we're not seeing as much coming from her anymore.
Right.
So I think she definitely is handling the situation a lot differently than Erica Jane, but I think it's also different for Erica Jane because Erica Jane is it's like scandal adjacent. She's in the scandal, but she's not been charged with anything. You know what I'm saying? She
Right.
still has a way out of this mess. Whereas for Jen, it just doesn't look too good, which is unfortunate because Jen is such a great housewife.
Right. But she's deemed as like the fraud ringleader. Oh, that's what I was going to say too, is like, I was shocked when we all found out, and we found this out in the headlines before we ever saw the show season 2. And we saw where she had to come up with $250,000 in cash. That's what I was going to say, is they're complaining about, having to downsize because they moved their family. They have this hub, the Shaw Chalet. But really, if anyone knows about the show before, Tamra Judge was the first person to put this on blast. Jen Shaw sold her home right before filming season 1 for less than $300,000 and then started renting the chalet. So she didn't have any real assets. That's why her bond or her bail, whatever it's called, that's why she had to pay $250,000 cash, because she could not put up any assets, whereas Stuart Smith could. And I wasn't aware when I thought about the ramifications and like the legal fees. I thought in my mind, $250,000 is a lot of money. That's a lot of money she has to come out of pocket. But for some reason, and maybe it's because, thank God, knock on wood, I don't have it around me, I've never been in a legal situation or anything like this. I wasn't thinking about the fees. And when she said $2 million, I love that Coach Shaw was like, that's not important right now. What's important is your freedom. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I don't know, Jason. I might let your ass go to jail. You might go to jail because I don't know if I'm paying $2 million now. I don't know. I might just send you. Listen, I will be a pen pal and I will fill up your commissary, but I'm not getting $2 million in debt.
It's very interesting to me because I just have to say this. Just in terms of being, either married, living with your partner or your spouse, I can honestly say, I don't know everything, okay, he does with his money. Now, I know, I know just about, I know the assets and things and where they are, but I can't say that if my spouse was telling me that they're spending $50,000 a month, I'm going to wonder, what do you do? Explain it all to me and show me the paperwork. Show me, I need to see charts and graphs, please, because that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you're spending that amount you're allegedly spending that amount of money. $80,000 for a party for Meredith, and y'all ain't even talking right now? Okay.
I mean, it is mind-blowing. Like, if you think about $80,000, Richie, you're talking about a teacher's salary for anywhere from 3 to 4 years, but you spent it in one night on a party because you've got it like that. That's going to raise questions and red flags with people not wondering like in a way like, oh, okay, well, we see Jen, and I saw some tweets about this last night. We see Jen and we know she's a woman of color, so we're automatically assuming that, how does she have this money? I don't look at it from that, light. I look at it from, if I see anyone who says they're spending $80,000 on a party, I just want to know, how did you do it? Like, it's like that. Like, where are you getting this money? I want in on the best kept secret. You can spend money like that, and we've never heard of you before. What business are you in? And I think that's fair. Everyone wants to know that. Everyone wants like the American dream, and Jen Shaw sold us on this American dream. So
she sold us something. She was allegedly selling to the elderly too. But
we all got scammed. No, it's nothing to joke about. I'm sorry, guys.
But it is what it is. I mean, this is the reality of the situation, and I mean, these are the allegations. So now we got to talk about it. Okay, yeah. So Lisa and Whitney, they have a little yoga session in a cave with water. And basically, at this point, they recap Vale. Whitney reveals to Lisa that she too has had conversations with Cameron. And Lisa's like, why are you talking to my source? I'm the only one that's supposed to have that source. That's what it gave me anyway. Basically, Whitney, without really giving us too many details, reveals the rumors that Mary and Robert are allegedly predators who prey on the people in their church for their money. Okay. Whitney does not feel comfortable saying anything more than that because she fears for her family. And then Lisa reveals that Mary said that Jen messed with her and look at her now. Before I give you my thoughts, I want to know what you think about this whole conversation.
Okay, well, I think when Mary said she's messing with, like talking about me and my church and look where she is now, I don't think that had anything to do with, that is a matter of coincidence that Jen Shah was going to be arrested and indicted. And I think that's what she meant by this, not like, you mess with me and I will send Jesus after you. Like, that is not, it's easy to run with that. That's not what happened.
It's not literal.
Yeah, it's not literal. Second thing was I was surprised to see these two together. And I love that Whitney was like, listen, anything working out, like where we don't have to talk too much, it's great. Third of all, I didn't realize this little crater pool thing that was 96 degrees is bottomless. Like nobody actually knows how far it goes. You're crazy. Especially growing up in Florida, we don't get in bottomless anything. Bottomless brunch, but you do not put yourself in a body of water where you don't know what's underneath you.
I'm not doing that. No. And it's dark too. I'm not doing that.
And it's dark too. And then my last thing here was for Whitney, when she said, I don't think she was wrong. She was like, listen, I took matters into my own hands. I don't trust you, Lisa. I don't trust you. And she didn't say this verbatim, but pretty much she's letting everyone know, I want to hear the truth and the facts on my own. So I went to Angie Harrington, my cousin. I got Cameron's number. We sat on the phone for like 2 to 3 hours. And he gave me the scoop. And when he did, there were some alarming things. And if you know what I know, then I'm sure that you would be scared of Mary as well. I don't think Lisa really took that in. I feel like in Lisa's mind, she was like, well, part of my storyline and the narrative that I had control over was the caterer and Cameron and, like going through like her little bullet points. And she was like, now that you've reached out to Cameron, I have to do damage control and make sure that Cameron didn't say anything to you about me inviting him to talk while the hot mic was on. You know what I mean? Like her wheels are turning. So I feel like Lisa always has the producer cap on, even though I love her on the show. I just feel like she is a producer's dream, but also a producer's nightmare because she can't deliver it the same way without making us think, oh, you're doing this for TV.
Yeah, I just wish we didn't know or we didn't feel like we knew. For me, when Mary says that, this is something that I feel like I see on Instagram. I hear it all the time. It's basically a sort of saying that, well, I'm not going to worry about what people do to me. God will take care of you. That's pretty much it. Okay. But I feel like and I don't know since we don't know the details of the rest of whatever it is that Cameron allegedly told Whitney, and because she's not saying it, that's all I can go on. So with that, to me, that's really nothing. But Whitney, when Lisa reveals that, when Mary said that about Jen, Whitney takes that to mean that maybe Mary had something to do with Jen getting arrested. And then she says that she believes Mary is leading a cult. And I'm like, Whitney, that's such a reach to me, because at this point in time, the only thing that had anything to do with Jen's arrest is whatever Jen was allegedly doing. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, were you shocked by the predator word? Like that was a big...
I wasn't shocked because I'll be real now too. We have all heard all of these stories about what has allegedly gone on in that church. So I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like when she said that word that I was shocked that it came up. Lisa was shocked, but I wasn't shocked. I'm like, where y'all been? This stuff has been all over the internet. But a lot of that stuff, because I still don't know what Cameron said explicitly, is still up to interpretation. Whitney needs to, if they got mad at Lisa for being very vague about whatever it was that was said about Mary before. I'm gonna need Whitney to just give me the facts, give me the real deal here, and let me know what it was that was said.
Right. I mean, also with Whitney bringing this up, like you said, we've all heard the allegations. I would just be afraid of a lawsuit. I don't know why. In my mind, I would think I wouldn't want to talk about someone's personal situation, their business, their church. Now I'm tying the word predator. And then, of course, we know that the lawsuit, was it a lawsuit or an investigation or just a court appearance? But Mary Cosby, after filming this, was tied into a legal situation where her and her son had to go to court because they had a minor in their house. And they were saying Mary Cosby and her son are harboring a minor, when really it was probably her 18-year-old son invited over like a 16 or 17-year-old friend who came over, didn't tell the parents where they were going, and the parents had a problem with it. So now let's make it interesting for a headline for clickbait. Mary Cosby, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City stars harboring a minor. But it doesn't look good that Mary is going through this situation that happened in July, August, and this was filmed way back when and being brought up by Whitney. I mean, I don't know. There's going to be a lot that's going to come out about Mary, and I hope for her already ready.
To me, I wish it wasn't Whitney that was leading the charge on this, because now people are coming out with, this information about her husband and the allegations that there being of his business being an alleged pyramid scheme.
Yes.
So it's like you have to really watch out how you try to run around exposing information about people, because the same thing can literally happen to you.
I mean, you know who started that, right? That bandwagon?
No.
Can you take a guess? I have her on my channel every once in a while.
Oh, wait. Dana?
That damn Dana. Yes. She sparked this whole thing. And, she was right. Yes. And she said, I was on The Housewife and the Hustler, The Housewife and the Shaw Shocker. And honestly, I could be on an ABC Hulu doc about any of these women on Salt Lake City, just about. And when she said that, I was wondering, who are you talking about? And then when the information came out about Whitney's husband, I was like, oh, that makes sense. But to be fair, this information was brought to court about Whitney's husband and thrown out for a lack of evidence. So it's a totally different situation. And the same thing for Mary. We can all say respectfully to Mary, you can say whatever you want about her church. She hasn't been charged with anything. So we can speculate. We can say, is she a predator? Is there an alleged cult? We don't know. But guess what? She's not in prison. She hasn't been given a fine. So you can say what you want, but right now it's hearsay. It's not. You have nothing to go off of.
I didn't talk about this earlier, but this was probably, and I know there was a lot of chaos this episode, but my favorite scene of the night was probably the scene with Heather and her brother. I just thought it was so fascinating that her brother, who lived in Switzerland, he came to visit. He was kind of upset with her because, once he found out that she was leaving the Mormon church, he, who was such a devout Mormon, decided to investigate some of the things about, I'm assuming, either one of the founders or somebody really high up in the Mormon church. And I'm looking at my notes. I forgot the guy's name.
Oh, I forgot his name too.
Smith. And apparently he ended up marrying a 14-year-old or something to that effect. And so for Tyler, her brother, he basically came out and said he felt like he raised his kid in a cult. And I just thought that it was such an interesting juxtaposition with the stuff that they were alleging about Mary. And here he is saying this. Not only that, but it just spoke so much to Heather's journey. And I really felt like I could have used like an hour-long documentary on just her and her family and what they're going through alone. It was very fascinating to me.
I always try to with being so close to the situation, like the Mormon church, and like my fiance left the Mormon church. His family is very much so still involved in it. So I always try to, I guess react or approach these topics with as
It's a
much
tough thing
respect
for
as
you.
possible. Huh?
Yeah. It's probably got to be a tough thing for you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And they know, like, even when I went to Jason's big Mormon family reunion in Salt Lake City back in July, and there was 150 plus of them, I was like, yeah, I talk, and I'm the guy who has mimosas in the car. I am not Mormon. But, like, I own it. I just always try to keep, like, a line of respect. But when I talked to Jason, when I first met him 8 years ago, he said, a lot of people look at the Mormon church like a cult. And I told him, very naive to it, I thought that's exactly what it was. And he has his own experiences. But getting back on track, one thing I have to say about Heather is I didn't realize the impact, even though in our minds we know you're a housewife. People are watching you, eyes are on you. There are girls, guys who are aspiring to be you now because you are a public figure. Could there be one person or two people? We don't know. We don't know the count, but those people do exist. I didn't think about the people who would be watching from the standpoint of being uncomfortable in the church and looking at Heather's journey and thinking, maybe this isn't the right fit for me. So when she said, I'm a traitor and a role model at the same time, this is, there's a lot of conflict here. I was thinking in my head, I didn't think about that. But yeah, I could see that.
That's why I think it was so fascinating, because you see this story play out from her perspective and from his perspective. And for me, it's not even about so much whatever the church is, it's about what it means to them. And I think that it's just fascinating because it's something that I know very little about. And so I feel like I'm getting an education every time I see it. And because I'm a fan of documentaries and stuff like that, like about, just things that can sometimes seem a little bit scandalous, like I want to know more. I mean, that's just me.
Yeah. I listen, I'm the same way. Like if it's docuseries or like Wives with Knives or How I Got Away with Murdering My Husband, I'm the same way. I watch all of it. Yeah. Sorry, Jason.
All right. I love it. So they get to Jennie's faux lunch, and it's Meredith and Lisa and Jennie, and they see Jen approaching, and Meredith is like, girl, I told you. Why did you invite me if you're going to be inviting her? Would you have left or would you have stayed?
Okay, one, I loved when she went like this. She went, is that Jen? And like interrupts the conversation. And then she directly goes to the person who is holding the event and says, didn't we have this conversation? I love that. She called it out as she should have. However, I feel like it was very mature of her. She's an adult. Does she need to make a scene and walk away because Jen just walked up and, set the tone for the rest of the day? No. Your life is great. Your kids are healthy. You have a thriving business. You're back, from what we can see, on track with your husband. She doesn't need to give that moment and already be a beaten down horse. And for Jen right now, that's exactly what the situation is. She's so beaten down. You're facing 50 years in prison. You don't know if you're going to see your kids. You're losing all of your money. Everything is coming crashing down. I really applaud Meredith for being able to be like, hi, Jen, how are you? And then, no, I'm not your friend, but I will sit at the table. I agreed to doing this.
You're right. It's very mature. I probably would have left.
Would you have left? Would you have? I mean, honestly, I probably would have left too.
Okay. I mean, because for me, I don't want to be around anybody that I don't like.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, I probably would have left too, but I do commend her. It shows she was very adult about it. And honestly, Jen Shaw probably would have left.
Okay. That's what's really interesting about that situation. Just to kind of hit a couple of highlights, because there was so much that happened at this luncheon. It started off all nice and kumbaya, but Whitney pretty much gets the party jumping by commenting about how fake everybody is. Because once Mary gets there, she takes a seat beside Heather. Mary and Heather have like a little moment where they seem to like kind of get back on track. And I think Whitney was looking at her like, kind of sideways because she felt like, well, Mary has done and said so much to her. And I think Whitney's also feeling like, but Mary can't make up with me as well, which seemed to set her off. But it was just interesting to me that Whitney had an issue with Heather softening to Mary, but it was so fast how Whitney was like against Jen. And the next thing you know, after one sit down, she was very team Jen. I just thought that that was fascinating. And so I didn't necessarily understand why she was calling everybody fake. The luncheon was supposed to be about peace. And I felt like everyone was just trying to acquiesce to Jennie's original intentions.
Okay. I'm going to, give Whitney the benefit of the doubt here, only because in the scene that we cut back to at Beauty Lab, where we see Heather sitting down with Whitney and Jen, Whitney at least owned, I was quick to jump to conclusions too, but I want to let you know, like I talked about you, I was quick to jump to conclusions. If your husband or your kids need anything, if you need anything, I'll be here after hearing Jen out. So I'll give that to Whitney. However, that just because Jen got arrested, which is major, it was not all of the drama that was in Vail. There was a lot of other dynamics going on between Heather and Mary, Lisa and Meredith, Lisa and Whitney, Jennie just standing off to the side, Mary and everyone. And she's like, how are we all sitting here in this kumbaya moment and we all just ripped each other's heads off? What sense does this make? And when she said, I feel like we're being so fake to Jen, I felt, and I know I'm going to get so much crap in the comments because I read the comments and you tell me not to read the comments, but they bash me on the Mary thing and I can't help it. But
Just listen, I think what you need to do is just give your opinion. Everyone's not going to agree with it.
All right, fair. So I'm going to give my opinion. I feel like Mary came late, already annoyed, and I don't know why. She looked like when she sat down, first of all, she's not the biggest fan of Jennie. This is Jennie's event. She sits down and she automatically is like, I'm here. Thanks for not starting without me. And then when Whitney says this, she's like, fake what? What? Like she's waiting for something to be said. And we've seen this behavior from Mary in the past where she's quick to jump on. Honestly, she's done it to Lisa. She's done it to Heather. She's done it to Meredith. She's done it to Mary. She's done it to Jen. She's done it to Jennie. I'm not like on this Mary bashing sesh. And it's great for reality TV. But she was quick on the fake comment and gave us a reaction.
Honestly, I would have been on the fake comment too. Because at the end of the day, I felt like, again, I do feel like now it could have been a situation where we have to thank Whitney for getting the party started, because otherwise the chaos would not have occurred. So there's that. But I do feel like when she said that to Jen, it was like, you're whispering about being fake to somebody that you just ripped apart too. And now it's like you're upset. She only said it when she saw that Heather and Mary were like now in a better place. So if I had heard that at the table, I would have been like, fake what? I would have done the same thing. But to me, my biggest issue with Miss Mary Cosby is her lack of memory. Okay. Because everybody else is, like, yeah, girl, Jen, we said all types of crazy stuff about you while you wasn't there and you were getting arrested. I do agree with Mary. Do we need to do this to her right now? Because it really wasn't good for Jen. And I do agree with Meredith, who came in later on and said, you guys are calling yourselves your friends, but really you're sitting here destroying her right now when she's going through it by telling her how much you all said about her. And I hate that Jennie, who was to be such a peacemaker, was really leading the charge of, yeah, girl, everybody was talking about you while you were gone. Let's just get it out in the open. I'm like, this is not the way to establish peace. And then Mary saying, I said absolutely nothing. Girl, I even liked how you looked when you got arrested that day. Fabulous, fabulous outfit. It was just bananas to me.
Come on. Meredith was the only one who made sense out of all of this. Meredith was literally the only one who made sense that said, I am not friends with her. I'm not trying to be a friend to her. I already told you guys, we established this. I'm out. But for you guys, you're saying you want to be a friend. Why are you doing this to your friend? For Mary, and I'm still reading it in the comments that you told me not to read, but I still see it. Guys, I'm not a Mary basher. But for Mary,
you have got to just speak whatever your opinion is.
I'm disengaging with the live chat. But then I'll re-engage. But, you know, legitimately, Mary, she might not have remembered. First of all, you just found out that one of your co-stars is being indicted on 2 counts of fraud, facing 50 years in prison. And there was booze going. I know she's a preacher, but you don't know what state she was in. I've had times before where people have told me something, and they're like, don't you remember this conversation? And I'm like, I don't remember that at all. So Mary might honestly not have remembered the conversation. But in this whole situation, you know, everyone was wrong. You know, Jen's wrong, period, because she's involved in the situation. But Heather's wrong, Meredith's wrong, Lisa Barlow's wrong, Jennie Nguyen, Whitney wrote, like, you all said stuff about her. And I think, honestly, the only person at this point that's owning it is Jennie Nguyen. She's the one who's like, we all talked about you. And Mary's like, no, I didn't say anything. And then she's like, you reap what you sow. You took advantage of the elderly. You're going down. And it's like, wait a minute.
Can we just talk about my 2 favorite moments real quick? Moment number 1, you brought it up earlier. Mary asking Jen, so you didn't know anything?
Oh, my favorite.
Not even a little bit. Like, and Jen is like, I didn't know a thing. I knew nothing. And Mary's like, I mean, it's the FBI. I mean, it's like Homeland Security. It's these people, you know, these aren't like, you know, these aren't private investigators that Meredith hired. This is something different.
I mean,
my other favorite moment was from Meredith when she and Lisa are going at it with each other. And Meredith is like, you've been screaming at me for 30 minutes. I am over it. And Heather is cracking up.
Mom and Dad are fighting.
2 of my favorite moments of this whole chaotic scene.
Oh my God. It was pure chaos. You know, like, it was funny to see the mom and dad are fighting comment, but also it was funny to see the Mary caught, you know, in the situation. Listen, at the end of the day, they all do it to each other. They're all wrong. Everyone's cutting each other off. And poor Jennie, this is the least peaceful lunch in the Peace Garden that we've ever had. So I don't really know where to go with this. And when, oh my God, when Mary went on the walk with Jen and she's like, come on, baby, I got you. And Jesus, the Lord from the Faith Hill Temple Church, we've got you. And from the Faith Hill Temple Church, the second 2 streets down, we also got you. Just chime in and subscribe. And she's like walking with her and she sits down and she's like, you know, I pray to God every night that you're guilty. What? Like, you can't write this shit.
Oh my God.
This is like next level.
I was cracking up. There was so much that happened in this whole lunch. I was like, I don't even know that they're aware that this is TV gold right here. Like, I don't even know that they can comprehend what they're doing. But I have not seen chaos like this in such a long time. Well, probably since Potomac. But it's been a minute. Okay, it's been a minute. Adam, listen. Going into, and I think you told me next week there's no new episodes of Portia and Salt Lake City.
Yes.
Okay, great. At least for me, because I'll be on vacation. But next week, what are we looking forward to in next week's episode?
So in the next episode, I think I'm probably looking forward to, honestly, more of the Jen Shah situation and what unfolds from it. You know, I want to see how Mary and Jen try to resolve their situation. We also see Lisa Barlow is at a party where her and Meredith are getting into an argument. Meredith disengages, walks away, and Lisa's like, are you really going to walk away from me? And then pan over to Mary, who's like, you know, you do come off kind of two-faced. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I don't think that she was expecting this. And Lisa Barlow is good for a good reaction. Oh, are you there?
Yep, we're here.
Oh, okay. My stupid battery. Sorry, guys. But she's good for a good reaction. And I thought that was interesting as well. I'm honestly here for the rest of the season. Like, this was such a lackluster first 10 episodes that we deserve the last half of the season. And listen, I'm not asking for Andy Cohen to give us a 4-part reunion or anything. We don't need that. But thank you so much for delivering on the second half. You owed it to us.
Oh my God, we were definitely owed.
Yes.
Adam, thank you so much for taking out some time to chat with us today about Salt Lake City. We love this show. It's definitely turned out to be a hit in the second half.
Definitely.
Let people know where they can find you, all of the stuff that you have going on this week. Let them know.
Yeah, so guys, you can find me on my channel, Up and Adam. I don't know, guys. It's Christmas week, and if you guys don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays to everyone. It's going to be a weird week for Bravo. We know that there's a big announcement coming out today. They just dropped the Real Housewives of New Jersey trailer, which
Do you know what that announcement is?
No, well, it's supposed to be about Beverly Hills, as per Chris Rogers.
I've been trying to figure it out all day.
Well, I talked to Zach Peter because Zach Peter and I. Do you know Zach?
Oh, I know who he is. Blonde guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So Zach and I have a big announcement coming up at the end of the month. But I was talking to Zach and kind of picking his brain because he's very like intertwined with the Beverly Hills and the Vanderpump Rules world. Mm-hmm. And Vanderpump Rules, like, I got this, but Beverly Hills, I still want to know.
Right.
There was so much speculation someone got fired, but I'm like, Bravo is not going to make an announcement and saying, someone got fired. So I'm guessing it's either, if it is Beverly Hills related, it's either like a small pre-trailer that we've never gotten before, a new cast photo that includes Sanella Diana Jenkins, or announcing that Kathy Hilton has finally signed on. But aside from that, I couldn't imagine what would this big Beverly Hills announcement be. And then now that they dropped New Jersey, I'm wondering if someone from Bravo leaked this to Chris Rogers, said Beverly Hills announcement coming, get everyone excited, and then boom, cue the Jersey trailer. Because it's shady, it's a business. It's network TV.
This is going to be interesting. I cannot wait for whatever it is. I am so into Beverly Hills. I can't even tell you. So I'm just waiting to salivate and lap it all up with a biscuit. Thank you so much for the super chat, Sheila. Guys, listen, it's holiday week, as we both just stated, and hope you guys are going to be safe this holiday week and weekend. And moving forward, after, I think, Thursday, I will be on vacation for about 2 weeks. So, make sure you guys are keeping it locked to this channel, and also follow Up and Adam to see what else he has going on in the next couple of weeks, because he said he has a big announcement. So stay tuned for that. All right, guys, we will catch you in the next video.
Yes.